All right, we're out here with future Hall of Famer Mitch Davidson. He's going to throw me some routes. I'm a speedster. I run about a 4.2.
Okay.
How far can you throw it, Mitch?
Out here on this day, I'd probably get about 70.
70?
So yeah,
right.
we'll throw some shorter routes, and then we'll hit you on a deep ball. Let's see that 4.2 in full effect.
Here we go.
Yep.
We ready?
Yep.
I'm on.
Yep. We go ready. Ready, set. Hey, he used the chest and everything. Ready, set. Hey, that was fire. Let's go.
What's up, Grit U Nation? I'm Dominic. This is my co-host Alex Price, and we got a very special guest today. One we wanted to get out here for a long time. The most recent QB of YSU, Mitch Davidson. Mitch, how you been?
Man, I've been doing good. It's just great to be back in Youngstown. Getting ready for pro day, so it feels like home here.
Does it? You've been all around. I know you've been like in Florida. You said you've been living in Columbus for a little bit, training down there. What has the prep been for pro day coming up?
It's been kind of crazy because the last 10 to 12 weeks I've just been preparing for this moment at pro day, and it's kind of crazy because it's like game day for me, and I'm taking that preparation kind of the same way, and it's all coming down to the wire here. 2 days out from pro day, so traveling all over, working with different people, creating different connections. It's been one heck of an experience.
So you told Alex that you were working with Cardell Jones.
Yeah.
He's a national champion.
That's sweet. That's got to be cool.
He played, I think, a little bit in the NFL.
Yeah,
He's played in the USFL or XFL league. So has that been pretty cool, training with the national champion?
It's been crazy because, looking back at it, his run in 2014, I'm just like a young high school kid, looking at this dude wow, this is crazy, And then getting the opportunity to not only meet him, but to have him train me, it's been like a dream, dude. Never did I think I'd have that connection. And the craziest part about it is it's a Youngstown connection. That's how I kind of got hooked up with him. And
wow.
It's been crazy. But the dude, like Cardell Jones is the most funniest, laid back, hysterical dude you'll ever meet in your life. Never would you think, this dude went on one of the greatest college football runs of all time. He's so, just relaxed. And what's crazy is he still has the keys to that city. Columbus loves that,
When
man.
you win a national championship, you get the keys.
Yeah.
You could be a good quarterback and not win a natty, but you could be like Cardell Jones, play 3-4 games that were important and win the national championship.
12 gauge.
Yeah, you're 12 gauge.
12 gauge. That's crazy.
He's the man. I remember watching that. When I was younger, that was one of the most fun things to watch.
Oh my gosh, it was incredible.
At the college football playoffs inception, that was the first year of it. So you couldn't have asked for a better run there.
I couldn't believe it when it happened. But how has the process been preparing for the draft? Did you feel like before when you were done with fall ball, you're done with football here at YSU? Did you know you had the abilities to go to the draft or declare for the draft? You just need to find those skills up.
Yeah, I think one thing I kind of went about it was everybody was kind of freaking out because I didn't post hey, I'm declaring everybody else does on social media. I just kind of wanted to kind of go low key. I didn't want to hype it up or anything and make it anything bigger than it's not because I say I'm chasing my dream and everything like that, but at the end of the day this is reality now. This is a goal of mine that is right there for me to go take, and that's how I've been preparing for it. But definitely it's so surreal because it's this is something I've dreamed of since I was touched the football for the first time. So it's crazy. It's all just right there in front of me, and I just want to grab it, but still just staying humble and upon myself because at the end of the day I'm just a kid from Salem. So
yeah, it's got to be hard taking it step by step, knowing what's right in front of you. But the reason why you're in this position is because you've had a good couple years at YSU. The past year was probably one of the best regular seasons a quarterback has had at YSU. You got Jaws, who obviously was a GOAT, who went on to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's been to games here. He's been back to the university. He spoke. But Alex took some time, looked up some stats. I know you said, you're not concerned about stats.
There's some digging here, but if you don't mind, I'm gonna read this quote. You said after beating Duquesne, you had the playoff record for 316 pass yards. You said individual records don't really matter or mean anything to me. For a quarterback, it's all about wins and losses and where you lead your team. To get in the playoffs as a six-year senior, since I got here in 2018, that's all I wanted to do as a quarterback was step in there and help our team make a playoff run, and I feel like I'm doing that. So that's pretty humble of you. So, but we're gonna. I know you don't like the stats, but we're going to go into some stats here. So I looked up last season's stats. You were 256 of 368 on passing attempts, which is a 69.6% completion rate. That put you 8th in the FCS, which is pretty impressive. And then we were comparing across. That put you 7th in the FBS.
Right.
So
you're top 10 in each.
Top 10 in each. So your passing yards you threw for 3,088, put you 4th in the FCS. And the FBS, that would put you at 33rd, which puts you behind guys like Kyle McCord and Spencer Rattler right there, and ahead of guys like the national champion and projected top 10 pick, J.J. McCarthy. Pretty cool stuff, I think.
And you weren't handing the balls off as much. So
yeah. No. And then so you had 24 passing TDs, which puts you 11th in the FCS, and then that puts you 23rd in the FBS. Again, tied with guys like Kyle McCord, Sam Hartman, and ahead of guys like Quinn Ewers, J.J. McCarthy, and Jalen Milroe.
That's kind of crazy, like, just listening to that, because, like, honestly, nobody's ever, like, told me that. And, like,
yeah.
I think a big thing on that, if you go back and you see all those accolades, like, if you look at our record, you could be like, hey, like, this, not even knowing who I am or what my stats were, you could say this quarterback had to have a successful season because his team was good. I would definitely say, like, if you're only as good as your oh, man, I just started there. We'll cut that out.
You're good.
You're only as great as your team. Your team and the guys
sure.
around you. Without that O line, I wouldn't be anything. Without my running backs, picking up blitzes and then receivers going and getting those touchdowns for me, it wouldn't mean anything to me. So I can't just sit here and take all the success in because it's my teammates at the end of the day that make me the best. And I still think with quarterback being one of the toughest positions on the field. And I don't think people realize this, why it is so tough. They want to talk about coverage and all this, and it's not that. It's because it's the toughest position on the field because you aren't successful without the people around you. The people you surround yourself with, your teammates, even going on, the defensive side of the ball, stopping other teams from scoring points is going to make you successful as a quarterback.
Yeah, and like I said, that's why I wanted to read that quote because you're a humble guy, and we love that about you. But we also wanted to point out your stats. You had a great year, and it is pretty cool. Like, I was, comparing them to the FBS. It's pretty sweet to see those names.
That's
you
dope.
Up there with them. So, you had an awesome season.
Yeah, we'd rather you give your flowers now instead of you going away and then we're like, oh, he was so good, come back. But we'd rather do that. You didn't rush a whole lot. You had a few rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
But you had one rushing touchdown that might stand out over the most of them, and that was at Ohio State.
Yeah.
When you dove into the end zone, and you did the little waddle.
I had to hit him with a waddle. That's the signature move. We're the Penguins. It had to happen.
We went nuts. So I was way up in the stands. I was way up in the sky.
Yeah.
And then we just went nuts. It was awesome.
But no, like that touchdown, I have the ball. That will forever, hold a special spot, in my heart. Even going back, talking, I was shooting the shit with Cardell a little bit about it. He's because he had trained me a couple times before that, and he was over on the sideline. He's trying to hide from all Ohio State because he's cheering for me. But that moment of everybody's why'd you dive? I just I saw it so open. I was I gotta do something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would just die.
You're in the horseshoe.
I got the picture too. It is one of the coolest pictures you'll ever.
It is.
See.
It's a sweet photo because I was wondering something. Well, why is he diving?
It's so dope.
It's a cool photo.
That moment, I literally blacked out. It was crazy. I hit the waddle. I go to the sideline. I'm so juiced up. I just remember Quincy Letton coming to my face, screaming, It was crazy because being a kid, obviously I grew up a fan of Youngstown State football, but Ohio State, you're talking about those guys, Cardell Jones, J.T. Barrett, Ezekiel Elliott, Michael Thomas,
100%.
Those are dudes we watched as kids that we wanted to be and it's to score a touchdown in front of 102,000 fans was insane.
Listen, I know we're Gritusports, but I think a lot of Ohio kids grew up Buckeye fans, so it makes sense. I know probably a bunch of the kids on the team grew up Buckeye
100%.
fans, so I bet the experience of playing in the horseshoe
is crazy.
Was probably unbelievable.
in front of a crowd of 100,000 plus.
It's crazy.
I can't imagine what that was like.
I've never heard something so loud than being down that 1 yard line. The student section's right there. I don't even know how my center heard the snap count. It was crazy.
I know, FCS, FBS, it's different. In that moment, were you okay, this is college football?
I would say it's that first drive. And we talk about it all the time. I talk about it with my offense coordinator. If you go back and watch that first drive we had against Ohio State, I think it was one of the best first drives anybody all year had against Ohio State.
It might have been.
And that pass I threw to Tom Zach on that third down, it was crazy. We were in the huddle.
That was in the bucket.
It was crazy because me and T-Zach were out here all week, third down. We know they're going to go man coverage. They think, we're bigger, stronger, better than these guys. Mm-hmm. They're going to play as a man coverage. We practiced that throw out here for probably an hour one day. It was crazy. And we got in the huddle, I literally told Tom Zach, like, they come out man covered. You're my man route. Like, you're my man beater. Like, you got to get open. He goes, I got you. And I came up to the line. I saw it. And what's crazy is that completion against them was, like, one of the longest completions against Ohio State's defense all year up until they played Michigan.
That's crazy.
Which is wild.
That's crazy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Lots of good stats out there. I'm going to throw one more in there for you just because you were the first quarterback to earn the Missouri Valley Football Conference Player of the Week since 2019 for YSU. So that's impressive.
That is crazy.
So,
even when I got that week, I didn't even think anything of it. Everybody's like, hey, congratulations, because I'm not a big social media guy. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? And they're like, dude, you got Missouri Valley like offensive player of the week. I'm like, really? Like, that's great. Because I know, like, Jalil had guys like that. But hey, for a quarterback, I felt like, the success of the team, man, throwing 4 touchdowns that week, I think it was.
Yeah.
Cyrus, I threw a little bubble route to him, and I remember he took it like 80 yards, got tackled with the one.
Oh, dude. I didn't know who he was. Like, I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
No disrespect to you, Cyrus, but when he caught the ball and he flew down the sideline, I'm like, who is that?
Yeah, it's one people we're going to learn about. He's going to get his plays right in his mind, and he's going to go out and he's going to be a great football player for the Penguins.
He seems like a stud.
Yeah.
You got a lot of great teammates.
Oh, for sure, man.
But right now, one you played with this year, Mr. Bryce Oliver.
Man.
He was a stud. I mean, he was a big body. You guys connected so many times. I have so many videos on the field. I had to post every one of them, touchdown passes after touchdown passes, long passes after long passes. But you got the special opportunity to throw him his 26th career touchdown pass, which is the leading career touchdown passes at YSU.
Yeah.
Yep, it is.
What was that moment like? Because I was in the corner down there. I took a picture. I have the picture. I mean, it was a sweet moment.
Beautiful ball. We were both right
there.
there.
It was sick.
The photo he's got is awesome.
It's crazy. Like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. You guys are making me reminisce so much, but like, a lot of that comes like from me and Bryce's connection off the field. Like, that dude's my best friend. Actually, he's obviously from Florida, so he's been up here training with me for the last week. He's living with me right now. Like, he's like one of my best friends, like, for life. Like, we talk about that brotherhood, like, that's a prime example. But like, going back to it was Murray State the week before. I threw him 2 fade balls for 2 touchdowns. He ties the record. We don't know if we're gonna make playoffs, so we're like, man, I remember after, and like he was like so cool about it. Like, he's like, man, he's like, I don't need that record. Like, it's fine. Like, we're making playoffs, we're gonna get it. Like, he's like, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Like, it's fate, like all this stuff. I remember going to that week, like, we're gonna get one. And it didn't happen in the first half, whatnot, and we ended up calling a play where I thought he was going to run a comeback. It was come back to convert go, and we look out there, and no offense to Duquesne's corner, but I saw a corner, I'm like, so I let him know, like, hey, we're going on this one. And I took that drop, and I've never honestly had a more confident throw in my life that he was going to go get that one. And it
was a beautiful ball.
Like, to throw him that, like, that connection that we got, like, it'll forever, hold a special spot.
Yeah, I know you guys had a great connection, being friends. I mean, off the field, living together. I think you mentioned before, he was coming to your house.
Oh my gosh, yeah, crazy. Him, my mom, I swear my mom likes him more than me sometimes. It's crazy.
So, another guy we could talk about that you played with, and we mentioned him a couple times before already, is the guy over in Denver right now, Mr. Jaleel McLaughlin, the NCAA record holder for career rushing yards, which is wild. Like, when I say that to people, they're like, what? I'm like,
people don't believe it. It's like,
what are you talking about? I'm like, YSU running back holds the career all NCAA record. Career rushing yards.
Yeah,
that's insane. What was it like playing with him?
Man, I will tell you, like, coming in, because at that point, 2 years ago, I wasn't the starter yet. I was just a backup, and getting 1 reps in camp and stuff like that. And Jalil was always that guy that was like there for me. Like, when I was in there next to him, like, I never felt more confident in the world, because guess what? I can hand the ball off to him. He can take it 80 at any point, And honestly, that dude deserves everything he's getting, man. Like, that dude worked so hard. He's went through so much adversity in his life. And there wasn't a day he didn't come to this facility with a smile on his face. I mean, and the man was in here at 4:30 every morning before the coaches, like, waiting for him to unlock the door. Like, he was pumped to be here.
He was fun to watch.
And I think that shows with what he did his rookie year in Denver. I mean, nobody is expecting him to do that except us people from Youngstown. You know what I mean? Like, that's our guy. And people ask me all the time, who's your favorite NFL player? And I tell them Jaleel McLaughlin, man.
Always.
You can't beat him.
Always.
Yeah. I got his Denver jersey, everything. That's my guy.
Get one, dude. He was actually my first interview here. I had a class with him in Williamson, and then one night I was like, wait a second, that's Jaleel sitting in the
You
front
would never
row.
know. You would never
sitting in
know.
the front row. He's like,
Yeah.
he always just walks out quietly.
Yep.
In my insurance planning class, and I went up to him one day. I was like, hey man, I got this sports page. Like, would you want to do an interview?
Yeah.
And he'd be like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm down.
Nicest dude ever.
The funniest thing is, we did the interview. We had to do it twice because the first time the audio didn't work.
Oh.
So I texted him after the one night. I was like, hey, like I hate to do this, but the audio didn't work. No audio. Would you be down to do it again? And he was like, yeah, sure, man, no problem.
Dude.
So like the nicest dude.
Hopefully that doesn't happen with
didn't
you.
even
That's
didn't even care.
hilarious,
Didn't
yeah.
even care.
A real quick story about Jaleel. I actually gave like a little speech when he got the athlete of the year.
Yeah.
Why she does that. He obviously wasn't here. He's away training, so I gave his speech and accepted his award for him. And I was like, I wasn't really sure what I was going to talk about, and like I was like getting really nervous because like this is Jaleel McLaughlin. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta, you know what I mean? I gotta do good. And Coach Phillips was like, dude, don't write down on paper. Don't just talk about Jaleel. I'm like, all right. So I was thinking like, what am I gonna talk to him about? And I just remember this one time, we were in a team meeting and we just finished practice or something. And Coach was like, Jaleel, like, what are you gonna do? It's on Friday. He's like, what are you doing this weekend? And Jaleel goes, man, Coach, I don't know. And he pauses for a second. He goes, probably just sit in my apartment, stare at my walls, and wait for Monday so I can come practice again. Like, what, bro? Like, that man lived and breathed Youngstown State football, and that's why he's successful.
Oh my god.
I mean, just to go on top of that, I remember I would come and hang out with my buddies. We'd throw the football here like my freshman, sophomore year. And I would see, he'd be here by himself, running
Yep.
steps, running ladders. It's
That's-
8:30 at night, it's dark out, and he's the only one out here. So
That's
I'm
Jaleel.
what is this guy doing?
He would get the practice script because the coaches get him done the night before for the next morning practice. Coach would send him to him. He'd be out here 4 a.m. running through the entire script by himself. All of his footwork plays, protection plays, all of it. And I mean that just shows like hard work leads to success.
that's why he took someone to the house, I guess.
It's crazy.
Easy handoff.
At
to the
any
house.
point, it didn't matter what happened. He could squirt one out.
So going from there, you obviously played at Salem, grew up in the area. What was that like, to be able to come play for your hometown team, and then like you've given back to the community. You had a kids camp at Salem last year. Like, what's it been like to bring that all together in this final year here?
Yeah, I would say number one thing, man. I felt so much support through high school. In my journey. As a starting quarterback at Salem, and then obviously signing with YSU and coming here as a walk-on. Kind of being the underdog, but. Like, I grew up loving Youngstown State football. Like, since I was a kid, like, loving this. You talk about, like, a Kurt Hess.
Yeah.
Like, watching Hunter Wells absolutely ball out in 2016. Like,
Hunter Wells, he's a legend.
Wanting to be those guys and this tradition that you have here, winning national championships like Mark Rungard. Like, that's insane. And that's what you want to be a part of. You want to be a part of something big in yourself. And I feel like that's what I wanted to give back. I wanted to show the community, be a face out there that these kids could look up to and be like, man, anything's possible. Because like, not shedding any light on my journey or anything like that, but it wasn't easy ever. It was a tough journey, and I'm proud of the the way I came out and the person I am today. And a lot of that is because where I came from and how I started. And I use this quote all the time, just a kid from Salem, because there was definitely people out there in my life that were negative towards it, who said I couldn't do it. You're just a walk-on. You're just a kid from Salem.
Yeah.
And that journey and all that I came about. I think my biggest thing was the camp, man. Showing those Salem kids for sure, especially those as my hometown, man, forever. And just being around Youngstown, like, and giving back to the community. Volunteering at schools. The food bank, getting out to Hubbard, like all those schools in this area, man. My biggest thing is like Youngstown football players need to stay in Youngstown, because you guys look at all the dogs like we have come out of here at high school and stuff like that.
There are a lot
like,
of good high school players around.
I think that's the difference that was. Back in the 90s, Tressel kept those dudes here.
You have to.
And I think that's a big thing, and I think Coach Phillips is piggybacking off of that, because I think he's done one heck of a job of getting local guys to come to Youngstown.
That's something we might do in the future as Gritusports, to start highlighting some, local senior
I
talents.
think we do, because we get so caught up into, these guys that are getting walk-on spots to Ohio State or, Kentucky or Michigan. It's like, man, if they would just come to Youngstown and absolutely kill, your 4-year career.
Yeah.
Look at Jaleel McLaughlin.
There's the path. The path is here.
The path has been proven so many times. Drew Ogletree getting drafted in the 6th round.
Yeah.
Like, I think we lose sight of that sometimes. Bigger is better.
Yeah.
That ain't always true. And
then you come here and you play.
Exactly.
You make a difference.
You play and you make a difference, and you win some playoff games, and get some accolades. Like, teams see that, and I think the FCS level and the FBS, it is a little bit of a difference. It is, and getting to Ohio State and all those bigger schools, there's a big step there. but I do think like the path is can be done here.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
100%. I mean, even yourself. I mean, you walk on. I mean, you weren't a starter until what? You said you were a holder one couple
I was
years.
a holder in 2021, man. I just want to get on the field. I'm like, Coach, can I hold PA? Like, jeez,
gotta do something.
Yeah, let me touch
do something. And then you weren't a starter 2022, but you became this. You weren't a true starter till your last year.
Yeah.
So what was that like? That I think it was your 5th year, right?
Yeah.
You weren't a starter. And then you end up getting the job throughout the year. What was that like, knowing going into the year, you didn't think you had the potential to start, but you end up starting. Was that a surprise to you, or did you just believe in yourself?
It wasn't ever I didn't think I could be a starter. It was just like, I'm waiting for that opportunity, and it just hadn't come yet. And that was one of the biggest things I remember, and this is a relationship me and Coach Phillips have, like, it's like none other. Like, I feel like I could go to him about anything, relationship, life, school, football. And I would go in there and sit and be like, man, like, I just want to play, Coach. Like, I know I can do it, but, like, he's like, just patience. Like, your opportunity is going to come. I know it. But he's like, you just got to be ready for it. When the opportunity does come, like, don't throw it away. And going into that year, going into camp, shout out to Mitch Crenshaw. I was backing him up. And what's crazy is our relationship was great. Like, he was one of my good friends here. And never was there any, foul play between us. Like, we loved each other, and we wanted nothing but the best for each other. And he went in as a starter in 2022, and we won some big games. I don't know if anybody remembers, he broke a record.
Yes, I was here for that.
Against Dayton.
Yes. It was like 4 or 5. I think it was 5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns. Yeah. 5 passing touchdowns a game, and then actually I threw the 6th one, which set the record.
Yes.
So we both have it.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and to think about that, he did great the year, and. I think there was some times there during the game, like, people felt like we needed a change. And then going into week 4, we played North Dakota State, Fargo Dome. And I remember I prepared that week like no other. And not that I thought anything was going to come of it, but it was a big game. And we went into it, and we were getting our butts kicked, man, that first half. It was bad. And quarterback ended up throwing a pick into cover 2 coverage, right before halftime. We were in field goal range, so we don't get it. And I just remember sitting there. It was me and the 3 quarterbacks and our offense coordinator. Coach Phillips walks in, and he's like, Mitch, Dimitri. And we both look up, and he calls us over, and he said, Mitch, you're starting the second half. And I'm like, oh, like, what? I'm like, okay. So I'm like, let's go. And I ended up coming out and, like, talking about guys like Jalil. He's like, hey, man, I'm going to be back here protecting you. Like, just all the guys around me were like, they were ready, like, they were rallied for me, and it felt so good that I wasn't out there, like, just alone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Came out, completed a couple passes, ended up throwing a touchdown pass to Jalil that game, and that actually didn't even solidify that I was a starter. The next week, like, we kind of went into it, it's like, we don't know who the starter was, and ended up starting my first ever game here in Stanbaugh against North Dakota. That was a battle right down to the last second of the game.
That game was
crazy. We get a block punt, they get a touchdown. It's like, it was crazy, but from then on, I never looked back, and it was like God, guided me along this journey and created me into the person I am today, and it's been crazy.
You guys had some crazy games that year, though.
Crazy. I mean, winning games on the last second. Ill State, we threw the touchdown to
Bryce.
Bryce.
It was like 5 seconds left.
We didn't have offense the entire game. It was just, I don't know if you guys remember that.
I was watching that on TV.
It was like 15 degrees.
It was a tough watch until the
15 degrees, like
final drive.
35-mile-per-hour winds. Like, all our guys' hats are like flying off the side, crazy stuff. And we couldn't throw the ball. Like, it was a hard-fought game. It was a Missouri Valley football game.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And it came down to that last minute. We got it in 2-minute drive. We knew the coverage they were going to play. We knew we could attack the middle of the field. We got down the field in like 40 seconds and kind of played with him a little bit. And we knew we were going with Bryce Oliver for a back shoulder fade for a touchdown. So it was crazy.
Just like his record-breaking.
Record-breaking. Oh, it's always going to be there. Bryce Oliver, back shoulder.
Hey, Bryce calls himself 7'11". He says he's always open. So
I think I remember him saying that, actually.
He loves telling me that.
I was like, that's the funniest thing. I mean, every wide receiver should think that highly of themselves, I guess. I mean, you've done so well that year, your last year. You've garnered, NIL opportunities.
Yeah.
What is the difference between NIL and just not NIL? I guess because you played in both.
Yeah.
Is it something else to navigate, or is it something else you're getting help with to navigate?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because that year we didn't have the Penguin Collective. We didn't really have anybody guiding us along that way. And there was a couple guys, like Dimitri at the time was getting NIL, Jalil and a couple guys on the defense, but I didn't have any. And then it kind of happened that January in the offseason. I kind of sat down with Coach Phillips and I'm like, hey, like, how should I navigate this? And he's like, listen, I'm going to help in any way I can. I can only do so much. Mm-hmm. But he's like, if you need guidance, like, I'm going to help you. And, I kind of took it and ran with it. I reached out to a guy named Bob Sebo, great guy from Salem. And I said, hey, what can we do? Let's work something out. You know, 2 Salem guys. And he said, let's get back to the community. I'm like, well, how the heck are we going to do that? Like, what can we do? And ended up going to Coach Phillips, and he's like, dude, do a camp. And I'm like, oh, man, yeah. So that kind of kick-started my NIL journey was my camp. And it wasn't that I wanted to make money off it or anything like that. And it was really just getting everybody involved. Mm-hmm. If you go look at my sponsors, it's everywhere from the Youngstown area, you know, Jerusso's Sausage, Youngstown Clothing, Glenn Galt from Galt Heating and Cold.
He's actually my neighbor.
Like all those guys. And it was crazy is off of that, you know, Youngstown Clothing started doing NIL with me, did a T-shirt. I'm like, heck yeah. Then Glenn wanted to do an NIL with his heating and cooling company. Yeah. And it just kind of started to snowball. Fred Martin Ford and Mercedes-Benz right in Austintown, they wanted to do an NIL with me. And it was like, I wanted a car, but it didn't work out.
They didn't get you a new whip.
But I will say, I think Youngstown State uses NIL the correct way. It's not, you know, this FBS, you know, world where you're throwing around millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's helped me, you know, not being a big, you know, draft, you know, have a big draft stock or nothing like that. So I don't have a bunch of agents, you know, wanting to pay for my stuff. So, you know, what I did was I set some money aside for me and my girlfriend and our future, and, you know, I used the rest to pay for my training. And that's the reality of it is, it helped me in a way that, you know, in school I was able to eat food, you know, take my own line out to dinner, buy them a couple gifts because they deserved it.
There you go.
And
let the big boys eat.
And, you know, then also pay for my training. And that was the end goal, was to just get enough to get me by, to get me to the next level. And I've created so many relationships and connections. I started training Glenn's son in football. He plays flag right now. He just placed like 11th out of the 32 NFL teams. They were the Steelers. Went down to Florida, and he balled out. I mean, this kid's a baller. And, like, because of NIL, like, you're creating those connections with these businesses. Yeah. And I know I'm talking about Glenn, but even Fred Martin Ford, Mercedes-Benz are like, hey, after college, whatever doesn't work out, come be a salesman for us. I'm like, you know, these are connections you would never get without having NIL, and it's like, just to get that little extra change in your pocket and then open up these business opportunities is great.
You get to grow the connections to meet people otherwise you probably would not.
I would never have met. No, never.
You probably wouldn't be able to make a relationship.
You get your face out.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
I see you on commercials on WKBN. You're famous now.
And you know what? It's so awesome being in the community. Sitting down somewhere at a restaurant eating dinner with my girlfriend, somebody comes up and goes, hey, my son saw your commercial, you want to get a picture? Heck yeah, I want to get a picture with him. You know what I mean? Like, walking around the mall and seeing my face on a t-shirt, like, it just shows how much the community, like, loves football, like, loves this, you know, YSU. Like, it's crazy how impactful, you know, our community is.
Or like me at Marshall's.
yeah. This dude sees me at Marshall's. He goes, hey, are you Mitch Davidson? I'm like, yeah, what's up? And like, that's how we're here today. And it's crazy. It is awesome.
He texted me. He was like, Mitch is here at Marshall's. He was like, should I go up to him? And I didn't answer him. And I think he just like, what did you do? You just went up to him.
Yeah, he just came up.
I'd already checked out, and I was like, I got to go say something.
Dude, and I'm glad you did, because, like, people I feel like are so timid sometimes. But, dude.
If you didn't, we may not even be sitting here.
We would not be sitting here today.
No, that's what I'm saying. So it was awesome. Another thing you're very involved with, you're the first student athlete ambassador for the Rich Center.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to speak to that, like, why that's so important to you.
And that's something I was going to touch on. I figured we would bring that up, and you know, that has been one of the most impactful things, like, all my life ever. Like, I truly think that kind of changed the way, you know, I look at things and how I want to help and be out there, and I'm so grateful, you know, just to be a part of that, because those kids, like, the craziest part about it, and I tell this to people all the time, you know, I'm sitting in the film room 7 hours a day, just sitting there watching film. And on a Thursday afternoon at noon to go over and eat lunch with these kids, talk about SpongeBob, draw cartoons, it just shows you that there's so much more to life. And, like, these kids are so happy to see you and for you to be there with them. Like, it's so awesome. And we actually did a couple fundraising events, the Cleats, which was awesome. You know, when would I ever have that opportunity to showcase something I care about? And forever, you know, if I do get big time in the league one day, like, my Cleats, my cause, like, that's what it's going to be. Is this Rich Center, and I will forever, you know, be a part of that, with, you know, Bernie Kosar being a huge donor there.
Oh, he is. Yeah.
So the connection I built with him through that and the Kosar family, like, it's been amazing. And then even with them, like, we did the fundraiser event. We auctioned off the cleats, and I think they sold for like $850.
That's crazy.
That goes directly to them. And I'm just so happy to be a part of it, and, like, seeing how they've grown over there it's incredible, and to keep on pushing that. And now that I think they have like 5 other sports ambassadors now.
Yeah, I believe so.
Men's basketball, women's basketball, soccer, baseball. It's crazy. I think people need to be more involved, because I'll be honest, for 2 years, I didn't even know that place existed.
I don't think a lot of people knew.
No one does.
It was right. It's literally right here.
It's crazy.
It's right outside these windows. We can see it
you
from
can
here.
see the sign.
We can see the words.
And people walk by it like it doesn't exist, and it's crazy because it's right on campus.
Yeah.
Why are we not doing more with these kids? And
Yeah.
I think the craziest part is, and especially the young kids, it's awesome to go over there again, talk about SpongeBob and Scooby-Doo and all this. But there's older kids there, and one of the newer facilities is like a makeup apartment.
Okay.
So it's showing these older kids that are 22, 23, getting ready to graduate from there.
Yeah.
This is how you make your bed every morning. This is how you cook breakfast. Here's how you use the dishwasher, laundry. Take them, and then we go down the rec. We'll play pool, ping pong, like just interact with them, like
Just regular stuff, everyday stuff.
Talking about Fortnite. Come on, I love playing some Fortnite.
I love Fortnite.
Yeah, it's like
It's
just showing those kids like how much more there is to life. It's
awesome.
It's been amazing.
That's why we wanted to highlight that here because it's really awesome that you're doing that. And like you said, you're the first student athlete ambassador. Now more have followed.
Yeah.
So hopefully, you set something off that will go for years from now.
I hope so, man. I hope it takes off.
I believe it will. We have there's a good following in Youngstown. When someone does something first, everyone likes to follow. Because it's a community. Everyone rallies behind each other.
100%.
Sometimes it's hard to please Youngstown at times, but they like to follow the people they like, the people they enjoy, the people they love. So here's another story I want to talk about right now. There was a fire at the football house when you were living there.
Yeah. Okay.
What happened that day?
Crazy.
Were you living there at the time still?
Yes, crazy. That football house has been amazing to me. We want to talk about the edge and rent and all that. $300 a month to live in this house with 8 other football players.
It's gonna be the life.
I loved it, man. I had the king suite. I'm on the first floor. Bedroom's massive. Like
QB1 got the king suite.
I loved it. I was in there with some of my best friends. Like I'll have forever. Clayton Medvick, Connor Collins, Griffin Hogue, Christian Turner. Like all those guys. Like it was insane. Bo Brungard, Max Blank, quarterbacks in there living with me. Like it was amazing. But the fire. Okay. So what was that Halloween game? Was that Missouri State? I think it was Missouri State.
I think it was, yeah.
Okay, mind you, I'm offense player of the game that week, everything. It was cool. But that week, okay, we get the Ouija board in the house, okay?
Oh, I saw that video. The video you guys made.
Yeah. Ouija board in the house, okay? We had a couple incidents with fire. First off, we win, so we have a little bonfire.
Okay.
In the middle of Youngstown.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't have bonfire, but we did. I wasn't supervising it, which I should have been. I'm the adult of the house, so won't say names, but somebody had a bonfire outside. It gets pretty big. Something in there, like, pops, blows up, cuts one of the O-lineman's finger. He had to get stitches.
Gosh.
I know. So that happens. 2 days later, Spectrum, our Wi-Fi goes out. So from the bonfire, it actually melted the wires that was above.
Oh, my God.
So our Wi-Fi wasn't working now. So Spectrum has to come and drill us a new line for the Wi-Fi. This dude comes in, doesn't look what's on the outside of the house, and just drills from the inside out.
Oh.
Guess what was on the outside of the house? The electrical box. He should have died.
Drilled right through the electrical box.
It blew up. So the house catches on fire. He's freaking out, calling his supervisor. I'm like, I wasn't there. Clay's like, dude, call 911. So we call 911. Huge fire. Like, it was all the way up the side of the house. So now we have a hole. I mean, the size of like it's just big. Like, I could have crawled through this hole.
What the heck?
So I'm actually here training Gavin Galt at the time.
Oh,
I hear all these sirens, everything, and Gavin, he's a kid from Warren, he's like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know, just Youngstown. Like, sirens.
Classic.
My phone's going off. I'm like, why is it going off? I'm in the same training session. I'm like, fine, I'll answer it. So I answer it, it's Clay. He's like, dude, don't freak out. It's a FaceTime. He turns the camera, and there's just a massive hole. The fire department's in there with, like, fire extinguishers. I'm freaking out. Mind you, that hole was in the side of our house for 2 months.
Oh, my God.
It got winter. Oh, my gosh, it was so cold. But
They didn't fix it?
No, they didn't.
You were
fix it.
living in the house still?
Yeah, they like put some tarp, like clear tarp up around it. I mean, you could clearly see outside. But we were just like, dude, this is college. It's a football house. Like, we just don't care. Like, we were just
so Youngstown.
We were just so done with it. We were just like, when we go downstairs, like, to like have our movie night or watch, we'd all just like have hoodies and like jackets on because like the wind is literally blowing in. It was crazy.
They couldn't do nothing better for y'all?
No.
Like put like a piece of plywood over or something?
Shout out Surf Pro. They actually came and they put the tape up for it. Like, thanks, man.
Okay.
This was in the living room, you said?
In the living room, yeah. Crazy.
That is hilarious.
I know.
That's a great story. You'll never forget.
But everybody blames it on the Ouija board we had in the house.
It could be.
I think it was some haunted spirits came in there.
Don't want to mess with that stuff.
I'm never messing with another one.
That is crazy. Because my neighbor is Senior Glenn and Senior Mrs. Galt. And they told my mom about that, and my mom told me that story.
We actually went and stayed at his house.
Really?
Yeah, because we could. we didn't have any electric. The entire electric box blew up, so we didn't have electric or anything in our house. So Glenn's like, I got done training Gavin. I flew down there, whatever, and he's like, yo, you need a place to stay? And we're like, yes. So he just took all 8 of us to his house, had pizza, hung out, slept there, yeah.
That's
What an
hilarious.
epic story.
But crazy.
That's epic. Where's the house now? It's not over there. Is it
It's
still?
right by Taco Bell. They're
Oh, is
tearing
it
it
still
down.
that?
They're
Yeah.
tearing it down. YSU bought that house and then the blue one that was right next to it,
Okay.
right down the road. They bought both of them. They're going to bulldoze them and make them parking lots.
Was the blue one ever
Hey,
a football house?
we need
No.
parking lots.
We do need parking lots,
There's nowhere
but
to park
that just gives
anywhere.
parking service another reason to ticket everybody.
That's true.
like-
I've gotten like 3 YSU parking tickets.
Oh, they're so annoying.
You gotta always appeal. Always appeal.
Always appeal them.
They didn't take my appeal the first time. But so you've talked about Doug Phillips a little bit already. What has your relationship been like with him? You know, going through your college career with Mr. Phillips, and is there any interesting stories you could tell us about?
Yeah, I'd say like one thing, you know, with Coach Phillips coming in, he was the new head coach. It was awesome because it felt like a new like experience for me. Like it was a clean slate. Like I'm ready to go. Like it's like a fresh restart. And actually, when he got hired, I had all these people from Salem text me like, "Yo, dude, Coach Phillips, you coach me." I'm like, "What? Like what?" So I actually found out that he used to coach at Salem. It was actually his first ever head coaching job at Salem. Like back in like 04, I think it was, 03. Yeah, it was a while ago. And they weren't very good. You know, they started like 1-9, and then, you know, they slowly worked the program up. But then he ended up leaving with like Iowa State, I think that was. And it's crazy, it just went full circle to now he coached a kid from Salem.
It is kind of crazy.
You know, with Coach Phillips, like he's been nothing but great for me. Like, you know, I owe him, you know, so much for, you know, what he has done for me, and not just the football aspect of everything. Like, I would go in there, you know, ask about relationship advice, you know, advice about NIL, business, and, you know, guidance on, you know, my future. And that dude has, like, it's more to football than him. Mm-hmm. You know, he doesn't care about the X's and O's all the time. Like, he wants you to come in his office, sit down, and talk about anything. And, you know, just, you know, for reference, like, it'd be summertime. He's got a lake house out on Berlin, and he'd text me, like, "Hey, you do anything today?" I'm like, it's kind of slow today, coach. Like, just got done golfing. He'd be like, "Come out, ride the jet ski. You know, bring some of the guys out. You know, I got hot dogs and hamburgers." And we just hang out with him. Like our best friend. Like,
Just hang out with Coach Phillips.
But, like, you would never think of that. Like, as, you know, a football head coach, like, you would think it's more about X's and O's. But for him, it's not. And, like, even with his son, Lincoln, you know, Lil Link's always around. You know,
always around.
wearing the Lucky
Always,
Penguin
always.
costume. I remember before the Sunday draft committee stuff came out, I texted Coach Phillips. I'm like, "Hey, we need Lincoln in like the Lucky Penguin outfit so we can make sure we get in the playoffs." 5 minutes later, he sends me a picture of him in the outfit. I'm like, let's go. Like, we're making playoffs.
We're in, baby. We're in.
Yeah, and it was just crazy because, like, that relationship I have, and even with his wife, Sarah, she actually coached 3 of my sisters in basketball at Salem. She's a head girls basketball coach at Salem. So she coached my sister Ellie, Annie, and Abby. And Abby now plays basketball at YSU for the women's team. So it's like, it's all the connection. It's crazy. And, you know, just to be a part of that, like, he feels like family. You know, him and his wife and his son, it's been nothing but awesome.
He's a great dude. I met him a couple times.
We love Doug Phillips.
We love Doug Phillips here.
Bro, and I will say, like, one thing about Coach Phillips, and no disrespect to Bo Pelini, because he's a great football coach. I mean, what he did for Youngstown was insane. But I do think they're polar opposite people. You know what I mean? Totally. And you know, Coach Phillips is one of the most involved coaches in Youngstown State history in this community.
Yeah.
Like, he is so involved, out fundraising, golfing events, went down to Florida for the YSU alumni, you know, golf outing. Like, he is so involved out in this community, and I think that's what Youngstown needs. 'Cause I think that's not only what he saw in Jim Tressel and why he was successful, but, like, he wants to be out there. He wants to show people, hey, this is my face. You know, I'm not just some guy out on the field, you know, running around screaming at people. Like, he's involved, and he's getting this community, like, rallied around this football program, because I think when this football program's good, you know, this community is going to be great.
This community loves when Penguin football is at its best.
Yeah.
So I cannot wait for that to happen. It's getting there.
It is.
It's getting
It
there.
is.
Thanks
Thanks to Mr. Mitch.
Yeah.
Thanks to Mr. Mitch. And we want to thank Mr. Mitch for his time right now for our little bit of a interview part of it, you know, just talking back and forth. We will go down to the field in a little bit, have some fun down there.
All right. Here we go. Shout out Bryce Oliver. This is the money route.
Coming for your record, Bryce.
Always open. Hey, that's it, man. Hey, yeah.
Give me that money, Mitch, right there. Don.
Let's go, Youngstown. Here we go. Hey, right set.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Hey, that was pretty cool, actually. I got mossed. I got mossed.
Hey, lockdown corner in the YC Flag Football League. I'm telling you right now. Y-Town Select, shout out.
What's that? Oh my gosh!
Shout out Jaden, man. He just cooked me. He's not too bad of a corner. You know, we just gotta work on some technique.
Now it's my turn.
Third and goal. Third and goal. Penguins need a touchdown here.
Right in, right up. Oh!
No! Let's go!
Got him!
That's right.
You're ball watching.
Next walk-on.
You're ball
Next
watching.
walk-on. Doug Phillips, give me a scholarship. Get you a scholarship. Let's go.
Hey, we're pulling the Bryce Oliver special, okay? Back shoulder fade, all day long, head topping this kid, okay?
Here we go. Randy Moss on.
Hey, come on, get a good break. Here we go. On one, ready?
Right, Andy. Right, set.
Baby, give me that.
Got him on it. Bring you to the moon. Go on, man. That was fun. You could.
Thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm Dominic Colella, co-host Alex Price, and this is Mitch Davidson. Mitch Davidson, take us away.
And this is Gritusports, signing off.
That was pretty good.
You're good now. I see you.
They started going steady and bless my soul. He out-bopped the buzzard and the Oreo. He rocks in the treetop all the day long, hopping and a bopping and a singing his song. All the little birds